Kabbalah. You are live. Okay.
Hey, you are live. You're live with myself and Kate. So this is the psychic and the medium, and this is our sort of fortnightly show here. So Kate's busy doing our usual share. So Kate's are the one in the of us two that does the tarot and works with the psychic and does loads and loads and loads. And I'm so I work as a medium. So we do this show, but we also do go out, or we had been going out and about before COVID, and doing our own shows where we both work together with our own abilities here. But tonight, anyway, so enough about us, and let's talk about the guest that's coming up. So we have lovely David Wells. So David is medium, lives up in Scotland. Here he is.
Hello.
And he's an author, and so and talks about past life regression. So he's a past life regressionist, and we're going to talk tonight about some new oracle cards that he has out. Are they out already, or they're coming out?
They're coming out in the next 5 or 6 weeks.
Right, so watch out from the 5 or 6 weeks which are based on the Kabbalah, which he is I believe, very passionate about and very learned about. And hopefully myself and Kate are going to learn something tonight as well about all of that. But welcome, David. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And we have a few questions that have been sent in before. But I know the burning one that me and Kate have been sort of sat here going is, how did you get into all of this?
Yeah.
It's been 100 times you've been asked this, but sorry, we haven't heard it.
No, it's okay. I was kind of the original Sixth Sense little boy. You know, I could see things as a child, which lots of kids do, I think. And there was an incident to my grandma's. I used to talk to my granddad, who was dead, and give him messages and things, and it started to get a bit awkward. You know, and then I had a visit from whatever in the night. Definitely wasn't pleasant, and I had a real reaction to it. I took a fit, and the doctor gave me some sleeping pills. I was like, I couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, and from then on in, I kind of slowed down on it. I stopped really. I joined the Royal Navy when I was like later in life, which brought me to Portsmouth, which is how I know you guys. And during that time, I was kind of like, you know, defensive of these kind of things, but not particularly interested. Read my horoscopes, that sort of stuff. Then when I left the Navy, went to work in a hotel. It's actually the farmhouse out on Eastern Road. Was there for a wee while. Yeah, back in the day. And
I've had a few messy sessions there.
Yeah, had everything there. And then I had an illness. So it's a classic, really. People often come to this after shock or a drama or an accident or a near-death experience. You know, it kind of awakens it. And mine was pneumonia. So I had, luckily I was living in Scotland. I say luckily because I was with my parents. I was in Scotland. And then when I came back, I started actually almost immediately. I had an out-of-body experience in the hospital where I saw an old lady and she told me to go back to my body, basically. And then I started to see and hear things all the time. And it was just, you know, yourself, uncontrolled mediumship is just, it's exhausting. It takes every ounce of your energy. And when you've had pneumonia, you really have nothing left to give. So through a series of events, I was led to the doors of astrology training, Kabbalah training in Portsmouth, and that's kind of where I learned all the crafts that I do.
Okay.
What's your favourite part of it all? Which one do you enjoy the most?
It's really interesting, Kate, because when people ask me what's your favourite, you know, it depends on what I'm doing at the time. I'm a Gemini, so yeah. So rather than make that an issue, you make it your gift. You know, so Geminis can do lots of different things. So rather than fighting that, I go with it. And that's what Kabbalah really affords you, because it's part, there's astrology, there's tarot, there's past life work, definitely. There's practically, there's everything. There's a Christian Kabbalah, there's a Buddhist Kabbalah, the Judaic one, obviously. So it gives you the opportunity to expand however you want to. If I had to pick one of the disciplines apart from Kabbalah, because I think that's the overall thing, then probably it would be astrology today, tarot tomorrow, probably.
Do you still do quite a lot of your astrology, or not so much at the moment?
Not so much at the moment. I do the on my Instagram account, so I haven't put the Venus direct up yet today. Naughty boy. Yeah, today. Sometimes, I don't do it on the day. I do it the day after. And the reason I do that is actually just because it is inundated on the day. Everybody is posting. So I do it the following day, unless there's something like the solstice or the equinox when you want particularly to do ritual, then you need advance notice, So probably tomorrow we'll look at Neptune going reverse and also Venus going direct under the same post and put them together really in some way, shape or form. But I don't do charts and things, no.
Do you like that on your Instagram? Actually, for somebody, I'm not very learned in astrology, apart from reading my horoscopes now and again. But when I do have a look at your Instagram, or anybody's that has things about retrograde, I always like to look at it the day after, because looking at it beforehand for me means nothing. So when I've gone through whatever that brings me and I think, oh my God, what has been going on? And then I read it, I can then equate it to what's been written, because I've already gone through it. So for me, that works as a reader. I've got to say.
Kind of retrospective. Yeah. Okay, that explains that sort of moment. Yeah. I understand that. I get that.
Because if you told me before, it would make it wouldn't make any difference to me. I think, okay.
What is with the planets? Obviously, we've been in lockdown. I remember at the beginning of the year being told Saturn and I think it was Pluto were going to be doing crazy things, particularly with Capricorn and Taurus, and that seems to be what's gone on. But that now there's about 6 planets retrograde, and it feels like it's settled now. But definitely before yesterday, for the last week, I would have said everything was all over the show.
These retrogrades are interesting, because people get their knickers in the knot about them, especially good old Mercury. But they happen all the time. You'll see a post that says, "Oh my God, Neptune's going retrograde." Well, he does it every year. It's not something unusual. Okay, the charts are different because of the placement and maybe planets around that are doing various different things. But I think this particular setup at the moment, what's been interesting is a lot of astrologers hit on the money issues and society changing, and very few hit on the pandemic, really. So it's kind of, you knew what was coming, but you didn't know how it was going to come, and that's very often the case for me anyway. You know what the weather's going to be like, but we don't know quite how it's going to hit us, and I think and to be honest, what could you do anyway? You can't knock on the door of number 10 or the White House and say, "Oh, hello, you don't know there'll be a pandemic next week." They're gonna laugh you out the building, aren't they? So what we do with it is try to help.
Good though. Perhaps we should say we've seen it in the cards, we've seen it in the stars. Perhaps that'll work better next time. Yeah,
maybe if they put more astrologers in the White House, and they do a better job of it. But Boris is a Gemini, that bodes well, doesn't it? But I think it's kind of what Suzette said. It's kind of that if you look at it retrospectively, you can then get a better handle. Actually, it helps you to move forward, because like some of the things are coming back again. Saturn's in July going to come back into Capricorn, because he's currently in Aquarius, and that this Uranus moving through Taurus, which is probably what you were alluding to, Kate, is a longer term process as well. And we know that Uranus is shock and change and all those things, but he doesn't disappear from the chart just because he's not in Taurus. He carries on with these 80-odd year cycle, and he is in Taurus, which is about money. It's about values, and Saturn's going to at the same time eventually be in Aquarius, which is about society, about groups, about social networking. So you see how two big boys in these planets that have this value, societal kind of influence, they're going to be manipulating the energies to best way to give us an opportunity. You know, we can sit back and watch things crumble, or we can actually get our sleeves rolled up and get stuck in amongst it. So it's the opportunity that the astrology offers you that's the thing that needs to be used, in my opinion.
It's fascinating. I listen to it.
We won't talk about it all night, but I really could. But we will move on. We'll say a few hellos to a few people that have come on. Hello, Diana. Hello, Sue. Oh, no.
Diana. Hello, David.
Hello. Hello.
Hayley. Roz, hello. Jem. I love this girl's name, Princess Hannah. Heidi, hello.
Hey, Heidi.
And Donna, hello. Oh, we've got a few more. Come on. We've got your niece there, by the looks of it. Coming in. Hi, Karen. And hi, Sarah. So thanks, guys, for all joining in. If you've got any questions that you want to ask us, then please do. Not personal. We're not doing personal readings, but general questions.
Past life regression. How did you? I'd read a few years ago the Many Lives, Many Masters book,
yep.
And I'd heard about past lives and just sort of out in the forum where people had done this and come back and they said, oh, I believe I'm Florence Nightingale, blah blah blah. And I'm quite a logical realist for me, and I think I've met about 10 people that think that Florence Nightingale, this isn't working for me. I don't know what's going on. But I read that book and it was fascinating. It really was fascinating. And it does fascinate me, but I think I'm a little bit scared to go there because I think, oh God, I don't even know what I am. I know I wasn't Florence Nightingale, but how did you get into it? And what do you do? What do you do sessions? Do you?
Yeah, I had a clinic in Southsea at the yoga studio, the Lano Yoga Studio there for a long time. So I did one-on-ones there for some time before I moved back up to Scotland. I got into it really as part of the Kabbalistic work. It became very clear that was going to be one of my stronger points. So it was something that I was able to do from the off. You know, I was very lucky to be able to do it from the off, and then I was trained to help other people to do it, and then did sessions for a lot of people for free, so that I could hone my skills. And since then, I've done lots of them. And the more you do of them, I'm going to be really honest. What happens is sometimes, especially when you're doing 4, I don't do any more than 4 a day. So if I was fully booked and I had 4 to do, I start the day like this. And we have a script. So I have a script I use to help people to get into the past lives, which is a very simple thing. It's very, very easy to remember for me. And then your first client comes in and they're so excited that you can't help being excited. And then they have the past life regression and you think, oh, there's bloody script again. Find yourself outside your own front door. I don't quite do that way. I'm more professional than that. But and then they go into the life and you go, oh my God, this is amazing. This is fantastic. And then by the end of the day, you're buzzing because you've had these 4 massively different experiences. So for me, the excitement of past life work is uncovering it's not who people were. And I'll be honest with you, it's really not. It's what they do with it, where they use it in this life too. So very often people will have a past life regression, and it's just so relevant to where they are in their life. Not very often, more 9 times out of 10, really relevant to where they are in their life right now. And they go out with a clearer idea of how they're going to resolve things. Or it's that thing, so that you go, I've done this for 1,500 years in linear time. Why am I so? It kind of has a knock-on effect. And if you think I've done this with this person for 1,500 years, nah, I think I'm over it. So it gives you the clarity to sort things out.
Does it almost, and if I relate it, because I've just done 3 years of counselling. So is it almost like sort of move people forward, finish off business that hasn't been finished, gives them that clarity of this is why I feel or I attract or I do this. So it sort of opens up their sort of cognitive understanding of where they are on an emotional basis within that.
Yes to all of that, really, to be honest. I think what it does is it helps them to understand that the cyclic nature of who they are as a soul, so cycles, and whether you want to keep them going. There's also the karmic level. So, and that's not a negative thing, it's a very positive thing. They understand that karmically they're doing the same old thing, but they need to move on, so they need to break the cycle. Emotionally, you know what? People howl, they cry like you wouldn't believe, and they release a real ancient hurt a lot of the times. Not every time, depends on the life you experience, but very often I've had clients who absolutely release this huge scream and caught up in it all as this massive energy of regret and things from the past they don't need to carry. And every time people have a regression, when you finish and you're sort of bringing them back and you ask them to sit up in their own time, they always go too early and they're all because they're so drained, they're so exhausted, that the first thing they want is water and chocolate, usually in that order. But yeah, it does all of those things, and what I really love about it is it provides me as a therapist and as someone interested in this. It provides me with lots of different experiences and lots of different stories from people who don't know each other that then I can collate into some of the more historical lives, like, you know, Florence Nightingale, although I've never met her yet. But there's you know, you'll get a story, a lot of Atlantean stories, and like I say, these people, they're sometimes totally different parts of the country, of the world, in fact, different parts of the world, because, you know, I've been working in Australia and Japan, and they come up with the same harbor, the same way in which things were destroyed, the same experience, the same names they mention as well. So it's phenomenal, really.
It's fascinating, I've got to say. It's for me.
Can be. Once you go over the blues, first day, but it's always fascinating.
Do you ever have anyone who can't be regressed? Have you ever had anyone that they're super stubborn and that they just can't get there? That'd be me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think you'd be fine, Kate. But I think it's not the stubbornness; it's the analytical ones. It's the ones who analyze everything. And even when you're saying to them, okay, you find yourself outside. You're part of the script is you're outside your own front door, then you put yourself on the roof of your building, and they'll go, well, how do I do that? Do I go up the drain pipe? Do I take the lift and get out of it? Just see yourself on the roof of your building.
Yeah. You
get that, but some people, for whatever reason, don't go, and that's absolutely fine. It's very rare. I mean, just about 2 or 3 times, I think, but that's fine. It either means they're not ready, obviously, or perhaps there's other business they need to take care of before they get to see these treasures, really. And that's I mean, I never charge them. I don't charge them if they don't see anything. That hasn't worked. And then I just tell them to come back maybe later or practice meditation. Sometimes it's the fact they can't. Some people actually can't visualize. They just find it impossible. So, and Virgos, if you look at star signs, it's usually Virgos that are they can absolutely do it, but they tend to be more analytical by nature. You know.
We've got a message from Tammy. Hi, can events of past lives affect our current life? How can you pinpoint what events may have happened?
But yeah, they certainly do affect this life. I mean, that's kind of the main point of having a past life regression, to find out how you can clear those things because they keep reoccurring, and also what habits you've brought forward, and to be honest with you, Tammy, also what gifts you brought forward as well. Because if you were, if you were an artist in a former life, you're not an artist in this life, but you've always wanted to bring it into your life in some way, shape, or form, then you're going to be encouraged to do it. Doesn't mean to say you have to be an artist in this life. It will just more than likely bring you pleasure, you know. and you know, if you were French in a former life, you're not going to suddenly start speaking French just because you have the regression. But you can see how events are very similar to where you are now, and that often happens. It often happens that, especially when it's a karmic relationship with another person, although the drag is different, and although the house is different and the time is different, you're actually going through the same cycles. You might even be in different relationships. So you might not be like husband and wife. You could be father and son, mother and daughter, but you're repeating the same kind of emotional relationships. So it's up to you what you do with that. Like with all of these things, like, you know, my job is to, when people come to me, is to offer them the experience. My job is not to tell them what to do with it. They have to then go and think, okay, I want to resolve this, or I'm just going to keep doing it because I don't want to create. You know, that's entirely up to them.
We've got a couple absolutely love your voice. Elaine has said she was part of a group regression that you did several years ago. Gemma has said she could listen to you all day. Heidi has said you have such a calming voice.
Oh, shucks, you make me blush, Pete.
That's amazing subject.
When you do the regressions, does everybody remember what happens within the session, or are some people on a level where you've obviously heard what they've said and what they've gone through, but when they come back, or they're sort of more present in the moment, they don't have a clue what they said, where they've been, but they feel somewhat emotional, but they have feelings around it?
It's been my experience to remember everything and more. You know, I always say to people, when I talk to them, I say things like, you know, look at the house. Could you describe the house? So they've said there's a house. Look at it. Can you describe it? They then describe it. And I'll say, okay, I want you just to move forward. Where are you now? And if they've gone in the house or they walked away from it or whatever. So say they go into a house, they go into a lounge. Say it's a Victorian lounge. We'll say, can you describe it? And they'll say, oh, it's quite dark. It has plants around it. The curtains are really heavy. It doesn't look as if they're really wealthy, but I think I've got a few bob, but not massively wealthy. And then I will be at that point saying, okay, what's happening now? Helping them to move along. But they've seen that house. So when they write it out, and I encourage them to write it out later, they go, okay, I walked into the house, the curtains were heavy, the room was dark, the carpet was this, the table was that, the sofa was here, there was a fireplace, the fireplace had the tiles on this. So they see so much more than they ever get a chance to tell me. So that's why it's so important that people write out every detail, because that's where the proof is in. That's when you do your research and it's a badge, or it's an emblem, or it's an aspidistra plant, or whatever it is, and you find out that everybody of that time had that, and you have no recollection of ever learning that, then that's a proof. And that's part of why people come for past lives regressions as well, because they want proof, they want evidence that they've lived here before. And those tiny details are the things that really, really matter. So they see it all, but they don't have a chance to tell me.
Do you think there's anyone new to the earth? Like, has everybody got a past life, or have we got anyone new now coming down?
I think there's new souls incarnating. The world's population is increasing. But that doesn't, oh, there's a whole box of worms, that one, Kate. To say that, you know, we can't fall into the trap to assume that we always reincarnate onto Earth, you know, because there's our between lives when we don't have any physical body, but our souls are still experiencing something. And we have lives in other areas, in other dimensions, perhaps, that we have to contend with as well. But something that I would like to say about past life work that I'm really fascinated by is that actually the truth about past life is there is no such thing. There's no such thing as a past life, because essentially you're in all of them at the same time. So your soul is experiencing them all at the same time. So even if you bring that, forget about, you know, multidimensional, come back to just you as a singular being here on Earth. All the time you're here, you're catching threads of different lives all the time. So like therefore,
lives.
Yeah, they're showing up in different. You meet someone, you think, hello, there you are. You're onto another life because you had a life with that person. You meet someone, you think, oh my God, no, not you again. So you're wrapped up in another life. So actually, you're a great big melting pot of all of your past lives. and your future lives, of course.
So because there's no time, that's only us, isn't it? Earth with time. We could be having hundreds of lives all over the place, but when we have the past life, we're just. And what about then if we were like in I don't know 1846, and then we go into a past life regression then, and they're in now 2020, they'd come into our bit. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Future past life.
There is future life, but you can do future life progressions. People will do that. People do future life progressions. So yeah, it's highly possible. But if you think that time is not linear, so it doesn't actually run from the birth of Christ upwards. It's just all over the place. It's circular, if you like. So you can go in any old place. Then you must be able to go to future lives too.
Yeah, I don't live this life. I think I'll just float around and see everything.
That's quite fascinating. Where you talk about it like that, because working as a medium, and you work as a medium as well, and some mediums will pick up on somebody's relative that is too far away for that person in front of them for it to be evidential to them, but what the medium is getting, and I've had it where it's clear as day what I can see. Yeah, it's too far away for them to be evidential, but if you took a look at what it is, you would see the evidence in reference books or things like that. So that's quite, I kind of like that. So that's quite logical for me. I'm a bit logical. So
sometimes mediums, when you're doing mediumship and you can't quite place, and even if it is a long time ago, there's absolutely no reason why you can't actually be picking up on their past lives. There's no reason why you can't be doing that, as well.
It's the limitations we put on ourselves sometimes.
So when you get a no, you can just go, oh, it must have been your past life. Do you take certain traits with you each time, such as your sense of humour? I would. Or is it a new start every time?
I think what happens, you have habits and you have routines that you definitely bring with you. But as far as traits go, you come in with so this is where I love the fact that past lives, Kabbalah and karma will tie very much into astrology, because when you reincarnate, you choose a chart because you choose to incarnate at a specific time to give you the best opportunity to clear your karmic conditions. That's what the chart really is. It's a working manual. It's a manual. So when you come down, you have a certain amount of traits that you are going to have to deal with. What Heidi's talking about, humor and all those things, they're personality traits. So they're built into the personality. The soul traits are where the past life work really happens. So the soul traits are things like love, compassion, those sorts of bigger ideals. But the personality is the thing that people often decry the personality. They try to scrub it clean as if they didn't really have one in the first place. For me, though, my personality is what gets me through the doors. Quite frankly, my cheekiness gets me through the doors. And then when I'm there, people think, oh, hang on a minute, he's not really this Gemini. He's more, I have Scorpio rising. He's more Scorpionic. He's deeper than that. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's a soul thing. Yeah. So they all work together. But what you do bring forward, habits and routines, tend to be things like fears. So a fear of water because you drowned, an obvious one. A fear of fire because you were burned. Those are very obvious ones. And they can appear as personality traits. So a love, for example, a love of a particular food, because it reminds you of a past life where you were blissfully happy. So you love Italian food. You would have it every meal if you could. Do you see what I'm saying? So there are little, it's not a black and white answer, really.
I wonder if I was a chocolatier person then in a past life.
I think we both were then, Kate.
In this life, Kate.
I've put on a stone. In this lockdown, I've actually put on a whole stone. I'm like so chunky.
Yeah, well done. Taurus, yay.
Yeah,
have you
expanded in me.
Have you ever done anything with soul plans, David?
I haven't done soul planning. No, I haven't. But I guess in a sense, that's what Kabbalah does, if that makes sense, you know, because you look at it as an entirety. You use the tree of life as a map. And then you take the map and plot where you are at the moment and how you want to get to. Right, but I haven't done soul planning as a course or as a skill. It's fascinating, but
I've done that, and as you're talking, it just seems that there's a real coloration here that's with it, that it is interlinked, and I kind of like the Kabbalah thing where you can use multi level abilities and work them together, almost like it's almost like a tapestry, isn't it? That you're sort of you're doing there.
Tammy said there, I've always had a knack of working with animals. I've always felt at home working with my canine friends. I believe I've always been surrounded by animals, and that makes me happy. Maybe she was one. Do you think? Do they do that, or do you just come back as your own person?
I've done not very many. Again, probably not even one hand's worth of past life regressions where people have started the regression as an animal.
Wow.
I remember once in Japan, a lady said that she was a horse at the beginning. She was a horse. Yeah.
There's people that have thought that you're either a human forever or you're an animal forever, isn't there? They're not. You can't mix. But you've experienced where they can mix.
Well, it's not that we can't mix. It's a growth process. From the way I understand it, and the way when I've asked the same question in past life work, and when people have gone into a higher state, they've gone into between lives, but at a very high level. It seems to me that what happens is it's more of human souls are manufactured from, or made from a whole. So animals will have group souls. So they have souls, but they will have a group soul. So then they will become, another animal, perhaps another group of souls, and that then becomes human. That's but you don't go backwards. So you don't become human, then go back to being an animal. Or the other alternative I have heard from some people is that when people experience animal lives, it's because, probably like Tammy says, they have such an affinity with them. It's almost like they spend so much time on the astral worlds with animals. They understand them in such an empathetic way that they feel as if they are them. There's various different levels.
She says soul planning is something that fascinates me. I forgot you did it, Suzette, but you have. You have done it.
It kind of, as you're talking about things, I'm like, oh god, yeah, this kind of. So I'm going to look a little bit more into the. Oracle cards. Tell us about your oracle cards.
Before we go on there, we just answer one more question on the past life. From Kirsty, how does it affect you if you die young in a past life, then live past that age in this life?
Kirsty, there's no set pattern. There's no knock-on effect from dying young or dying old. It's just what was written for that life for you. It's what you chose for that life for you, and each will have a lesson. Some people grow very old and they're very ill, and it just seems like it's never ending, and that can be part of the reason they're here, to understand the compassion of that. Some people go very young and they're here maybe to offer that young death as a lesson and as a gift to those around them. So you can't, there's no cut and dried there, but each life has its own value, and each one will have its own lesson wrapped up within that. But as far as I'm aware, there's no marker. If you live past that, then it's irrelevant, really. It's just what's patterned for this life. Right.
Okay. So yeah, sorry, Suzette, button in there. It's not like me to button in.
No, I was just my excitement, sorry, about the oracle cards, because I don't often buy oracle cards, but I think I will be these.
Oh, good. There won't be that many to start with. I've only got, I think I've got like a couple of hundred decks coming. That's it, really. But because they're dear too, aren't they? So anyway,
I'm in the middle of getting some done, and someone said get them in China, but they reproduce them all, don't they? If you get them over there, they end up doing their own copies, and I don't want that.
You can certainly get them done here, but they'll probably cost you more. But I've got a publisher for mine, which I haven't signed a contract yet, so I can't say.
Yeah,
I do have a publisher, so that kind of helps in a way. Although I've done the two routes. I've self-published, but someone who is then interested in taking them as well. So I've actually got them coming into my own stock. So what happened was I had a break, big changes, Saturn, Pluto, in my own chart. During my second Saturn return, I was 62 weeks ago. So I had that kind of massive second Saturn return with Pluto involved, and and everything in my life went, Kate, everything. I mean, my house, my relationship, and I'm not boo-hooing about it though, because this is just how it is. And so I took some time, and when the best ideas come to you, it's when you do nothing. And that's what I did. I did absolutely nothing. I walked my dog. I, ate myself into oblivion. I watched rubbishy TV for a bit. I read some books that I was really interested in, and then they upstairs start to nag, don't they? And they start to go, well, what about oracle cards? And then someone mentioned Kabbalah oracle, and I thought, well, so my first thought was the Tree of Life. Here's the picture of the Tree of Life, and then the explanation is the Tree of Life is a symbol there. And then my next one was, okay, so let's do the triangle for soul levels. Let's do the Saphira, which are the circles. And every time I did it, I thought, well, it didn't sit. It just didn't sit. So then I came up with the very first image. I went sort of sideways with the imagery. I went to the second Saphira, which is Yesod, which is actually there, I think. I just printed them off myself so I could have them around the house. So
oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that
we haven't upgraded. We're only on the free stream, but we can't put the picture up until I upgrade. So
okay, all right.
I'll put the picture up that you sent me. It's on the actual Facebook page, but I can't include it in this because we're on the poor person's one.
Poor person's one. That's all right. So the imagery started coming through, and I'm no artist. I'm really not an artist. So I had to find an artist, and he, when I did find him, he misunderstood what I said about the cards. And then when he produced the first one, I thought, oh my God, this is way better than I thought, because he misunderstood completely what I said. And then, so from there, happenstance, we started to develop the deck. So you will recognize some of them. You'll recognize the major arcana because they're part of the path workings of the Tree of Life. But they're not all. So the Empress does look like the Empress, for example. The Emperor does look like the Emperor, but the Fool doesn't look like the Fool. There's a mixture really, and then there's the Saphira.
They're not meant to look like the tarot cards.
Well, I think what I really wanted people to understand was that the tarot, the major arcana of the tarot, are the pathways of the Tree of Life. So what I did was I didn't put so underneath where you would have like the tower, for example, I didn't put the tower because I thought that's kind of cheating. So I put the path number, 27 paths. I put the path on it, just the number. So that means that they're forced to think of it in terms of paths rather than major arcana. Yeah. And in the book, there's a little book that comes with it, explains all that. Then all the Saphiras. Sorry?
I can't wait to get them.
Yeah, me.
So there's the Saphira, so like the Malkuth through to Ketha. So there's a card for each one of them. There's a card for each of the archangels that represent them too. And then there's cards for the elemental kings as well, so earth, air, fire, and water. So yeah, I'm really pleased with them. They have a definite Nordic feel. They feel very Scandinavian, which was the surprise really when you first did them. But no, I'm really pleased with them. And they're gilded, of course, but in black, not in gold or silver. And yeah, I'm looking forward to them finally getting it.
Come out.
It'll be 5 or 6 weeks' time. I will let people know when we have a date. They're not printed yet. They have been printed in China, okay? through the person that's been helping me do it.
I just shouldn't speak half the time.
I'll give them a good hose down before I send them out. And I think, yeah, about 5 or 6 weeks. But I'm so desperate just to see an actual deck.
Yeah.
I'm working on the second deck now, but yeah, it's a bit of a process for sure.
what will the second deck be then?
Well, that's what I'm working on. I think we want to have another Kabbalistic deck, and I might make that one a bit more technical. Although I'm not really. The reason I didn't make it technical is because for me, the intellectual side of it, I love, obviously, being the Gemini and the inquisitive soul that I am. But what I really love is when you meditate on the cards, or you meditate when you study Kabbalah, you meditate into the temples. The intellect goes, it's totally irrelevant. It's everything you feel in there. It's when you're sitting in your front room weeping because you're actually sitting in a temple with an archangel giving you some, information. And that's what I wanted to bring to the cards. I want the cards to be meditation tools. So you can pick a card, any card, and you can put it in front of you, and you can meditate into that card and have the experience without necessarily having all the other stuff. I want people to be fired up about Kabbalah, don't get me wrong, but I want this to be the spark, the kind of thing thinks, well, yeah, I get this. I understand how they knit together, and now I want to know more.
Yeah. You just touched on a little bit there to do with the angels. Now, I know that you had a new set of angels given to you.
Yeah.
Will there be any cards for them?
That's a dilemma, yeah. That's one of them. Because there is only 12 of them, so you need 42.
Oh, right, okay.
I might dial in and go,
oh, they're not blended in with
friends.
Your friend. Your friend. You said there that the cards you said you couldn't believe they kind of had almost a Scandinavian feel to them. Okay, so would you the possibility there, because I would have thought you'd sat and meditated and connected and channeled for these, that's part of your soul that is from, has that Scandinavian, that earthy tone. I would say earthy tone, you didn't, I'm kind of getting that. So that tone around you that was brought into there, because that's part of you that will be working with everybody that buys the cards.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, 100%. I mean, I love Scandinavian countries. I have a great affinity with them, and I particularly love, I have friends in Australia who think I'm the strangest person on earth, because my idea of heaven is being frozen in a place like, Tromsø or something, where it's so cold, it's biting your fingers off. And when I see those frozen landscapes, my heart leaps. I love them. I absolutely love them. So I think you're absolutely right. I think it is part. Plus, I've got a beard now. So.
I was going to say, you've got that Nordic look around you.
I've got that look now, yeah.
Hair, it's amazing, though. Your hair, it looks really cool.
My lockdown hair.
It looks amazing. Mine's going to have its own show in a minute. It's getting way wild.
We don't talk about lockdown there. No.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I definitely am drawn to all of that. But I must admit, when they first came, I got so excited. Then I held back, because I think you should do that terrible thing, and we should never do it. And this is one thing I think people, we should never ever do it. Is I got so excited about it, and I was so like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then in my head, the next voice went, yeah, but other people won't like it.
Oh, that self-doubt thing.
Yeah. So I kicked it right out of the park and said, well, I don't really care what I'm doing. Yeah. Especially when you're doing it for yourself. And I think that's what I loved about the self-published aspect of this. You don't have, because sometimes you have a quango, around the table, for everyone from the tea lady to the director saying, well, I don't like the blue in that. And they're not yours anymore, Yeah. So nobody questioned me. There was nobody to question me, actually.
I think we got that from Mickey, didn't we? Mickey Havelock, who wrote her own book, and that was her stance on it. It was hers. Nobody was going to change it, because then that would change what she'd experienced. And again, for you, that part of you that's within those cards, because they will take that forward, would have just been part of the tea lady that didn't like the blue. And we don't want the tea lady. We want
no offense to tea ladies before you
absolutely makes wonderful tea, great biscuits, but we don't want her in the cards.
Yeah,
I'm aware of the time, David, and I know your little doggies not locked away, but
in a cage in a hole. No, she's not. On my bed, probably.
Where can people get the cards when they're out? Where's the average? Is it on your website? Will they be through them? Or?
Yeah, they'll be on my website. There will be some available as well on through Amazon, and I'll put that up on my website once they come through. But I would urge people to sign up for my newsletter because they're going to be offered the cards first.
Okay.
And you can do that on my website. I think it's only fair, really, that people who, they'll be offered them first, and then I'll put them on my website after that.
Okay, let me just. And how do they sign up for your newsletter?
On my through my website, or you can do it on my Facebook page as well.
Okay, perfect. Just before we close, what's next, David? Then you've got the cards coming out. What's next?
I'm going to try and work my own kind of magic, sing my own kind of song. Really, I'm gonna. Hopefully, what I want to do, Kate, is do I want to bring all the things that I do know into a format where people can then use that to help them through whatever it is they need to be helped through, so on a personal level, so on one-on-one levels, we'll be coming back, but it will be much more about working with the person rather than readings, if you like. And also the workshops based on the cards, using the cards to help people better understand Kabbalah. And definitely a lot more past life work. So basically, I think for me, it will be Kabbalah and past life work will be the mainstays. But when you say Kabbalah, it does then mean that you can still do astrology and tarot and everything else with it, but not as overtly, I don't think.
Sarah said the evening at the lounge at the Mystic River Lounge when David told us about the new angels was brilliant. Love to know more about them. So maybe.
Yeah, they're nagging. I sent to someone the other day that they're starting to nag again. And I did a whole year's work with them on the Awakened Soul course, and I absolutely loved it. The only issue I had with it is I could see myself relying on Kabbalah so much, and yet they weren't. They kind of fitted, but some of them didn't. They pushed back on it a little bit, and they're not all archangels, as I said on the night, Kate. Some of them are kind of like masters or other beings. And I would like to expand more on that, and I'm trying. But when they first came through, it took a year for me to get them all through, and some of them were really difficult energetically to work with because I had to adjust my energy, and it made me sick. So I am hoping to work with them a bit more, and I know there's more there. I know there's a lot more to come from them. So yeah, hopefully, Sarah, there'll be more from them soon.
And the courses that you just said about to work with the cards, the workshops, they are in Scotland. Will you be doing them online, or do we all have to come and stay at yours?
I have to come to Scotland. I've never done a workshop in Scotland. I've never done one in Edinburgh or Glasgow at events or anything. Which really, it's really interesting, isn't it? I lived in the south for all my life, really, after I joined the Navy, more or else. So I would like to do some one-on-one workshops, probably starting here, if I'm being honest. I do occasional workshops with a ghost hunting company, but I do like a past life regression workshop during the day, and called Spectacular Events. I've got one at the Forest of Dean, which is in February, I think, next year, with my face mask on, probably. So I do them here and there. But I will. It's difficult, isn't it? Because what do you do? Online is probably better for accessibility, but there's nothing, especially past life work. Nothing beats being in the room with people. Nothing beats that.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking the Oracle cards when they come out and workshops to learn how to work with those.
Yeah. And I need to be there because I can, yourself with what you can get to people. You think, okay, she needs help, or I need to make sure she, hopefully, let's wait and see.
Well, I can get you back down and say Jackie will come this evening, but she was on a course, so she says hello. But I'm sure between us we can definitely arrange enough people for you to
a big log cabin set up, so it's very Nordic for you to work.
Yeah. That'd be great.
try and something like that.
Vicky is Heidi says, I think he could be talking about yoga and I would find this man fascinating. Such a
that's my new career.
There you
Yoga.
go.
And Tess says definitely see a Nordic look about him. Well, I'm going to close it now because I am aware of your dog and it's coming up to 10 to 8, David, and we could talk about it for another half an hour quite easily, but we won't. So if you'd like, guys, if you'd like to get in contact with David, then you can find out his website, www.davidwales.co.uk, on Instagram and Facebook on David Wales Spirited as well. So please do follow him, sign up to his newsletter through his website there, and stay in touch. Thanks ever so much, David.
Thank you.
Coming on. It's got a bit cooler now. We're not so hot as what we were at the beginning. It's nice. And we'll look forward to seeing your cards, definitely. And I'll post the picture you gave me onto the event. And as soon as the links come out, if you haven't sold all your hundreds through your own newsletter, we'll plug that for you.
Awesome, yeah.
Okay, I'm sure I won't. I'm sure though I'll put some aside, Kate.
Definitely do. I'm on the newsletter anyway. I'm already signed up for your newsletter.
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah.
So I'll be there. Yeah. No flies on me. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Okay, thanks.
In 2 weeks' time is with a Feng Shui expert. So we're very, very excited about that. More details coming soon. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.
Good night.